We keep going.
I know, right? I was joking earlier. I feel like I'm on Ellen, right? When we came down here earlier, it's like, I want to just keep dancing. Woohoo! Do I do this? Are you guys going to do it for me? Oops. See, already I'm going too fast. So how many of you guys actually interacted with our event bot that we had for this event? Raise them high, raise them high. You asked a question and you got an answer and you were super excited about it. I've had a lot of people come up to me and tell me they were thrilled with how that worked. So I'm glad that we did it for Liz for this event. So you guys could test it out and see how event bots work. So in my last role, I was managing a conference for 20,000 attendees, and I had 1,000 volunteers. These beautiful people were what I called my volunteer captains. So they were the ones on site, like running the information booth and making sure all the volunteers, got to all of their jobs. And they were super, happy and excited when the week started. And then, as the week wore on and they got asked the same mundane, repetitive questions, they were not this happy, right? They were very tired and very sad. So of course, they wish they could have an event bot to at least handle some of those mundane, repetitive questions so that they could really instead be in a position to help the attendees have a better experience. One of our speakers, I think it was the guy from Convene, used the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Sometimes I talk about that in our presentations as well, because you have to kind of address your attendees' basic needs and get those basic questions handled first before they can reach that epitome of self-actualization at your event. And that's what I would have loved, to have these folks doing, is helping people higher up on that on the hierarchy. So as you guys know, there are lots of different ways to communicate with your attendees. You've got the printed. We obviously had printed guides a lot more so before some of these technologies came out. Mobile apps were a brilliant solution when they came out because websites were not mobile optimized. And we all knew that these attendees were coming to the events with their phones, and we wanted them to have the information on their phones, right? And so mobile apps actually served a really important purpose at that time. Now we have websites still. Now a lot of them are mobile optimized, so you can use those on your phones. You can email information to people. A lot of my previous role was kind of involved in all of this communication, like thinking through the attendee journey, as they were arriving to the conference and walking in the door, and what are they actually, I was trying to engage all 5 senses, that whole thing. But leading up to the event, I spent a lot of time in all of these channels just trying to make sure that our attendees had all the information that they needed. But I mean, the reality is they don't read the emails that you send them. They don't look at the website, and yet they have questions as they're arriving to the event or actually at the event. So how many of you guys have text messaging? How many of you sent a text message today? Should be everybody, right? How many sent a text message in the last hour? How many sent a text message since I started talking? Yes. Everybody knows, just like, maybe half the room. Like, I don't know. So obviously, your attendees already have this particular type of communication channel, and they know how to use it. Everyone knows how to use text messaging. So what I'm introducing today are artificial intelligence, natural language processing chatbots. That sounds very, complicated. But basically, natural language processing is just a form of artificial intelligence that makes our conversations, and if you guys have played with the bot here, you can kind of see what those conversations look like. You can ask the bot a question like 300 different ways, even though it's essentially the same question, and it will understand what you're asking it, and it will give you a very contextual and rich response. The one I was using earlier, is about why. If you ask the bot, is there Wi-Fi? That's actually not the question that you want the answer to. The answer would be yes, right? If the bot just says yes, that's not very helpful, right? So the answer is actually, yes, we have Wi-Fi, and it's free, and this is the network, and this is the password. And then, there are occasions, there's some of the conversations that we've built where we even anticipate the next question that you might ask and just deliver that information based on what you asked. So that's the AI part of it, is just that now it's a very rich experience, and we found that attendees actually love interacting with the bot. They know it's not a human, and they love getting their questions answered in this way. So how it works is essentially you have a template and a library. The template is just all the questions that your attendees can ask the bot, and then the library is simply just what are the responses and who is allowed to receive them. So this is why this is important. We can actually customize the responses that your bot gives. So same question, where is dinner? right? Your regular attendee says, where's dinner? And for them, the answer is the buffet dinner is being held in the grand ballroom from 6 to 8. But you have a VIP, and the answer to that question for them is, dinner is in the, the suite or whatever, or we're going off site and a car has been arranged for you. So we are literally just the voice of your data. If we have the data of, your attendees' mobile numbers and who they are, just like this is a minimum example, attendees and VIPs, you can have speakers, that kind of thing. But it could even be, so much richer and more complex than that based on, who you want to have a different response to the same question. I've been talking a lot about text messaging, which is SMS. A lot of you guys probably know that. But just know that we can do literally any messaging channel. So Facebook Messenger, Twitter, Viber, Telegram. We can even do the little web chat on your website, on your registration site. Could be the same. It's the same conversation, right? The same bot is communicating through all of these different, all these different channels. So we have the technology stack behind that to do all those. So really, literally, it's ask a question, get an answer, ask a question, get an answer. Sometimes the bot is not going to know, right? Because you're not going to train it literally every single question that an attendee would ask. So in those cases, we give you a couple different options of how you want to handle that escalation or that different types of support. Either they can just be given your phone number, or email, or told to find you at the info booth, or you can actually go right into our system. And if you see that there's a question somebody had and the bot didn't know the answer, you can actually answer their question through the same channel. So they don't have to leave that channel in order to get their question asked. So because you can see this data, right? You can see behind the scenes all the questions that people are asking. If you've got the bandwidth to be able to pay attention to that and monitor that in the same way that maybe you're monitoring your Twitter feed, you might see like, oh, a bunch of people are asking the same question, right? Like, what time is the welcome reception? So maybe that warrants, adding an announcement from the stage or sending out a notification. With our event bots, you can actually send notifications through the bot, which will then obviously go to their text message, which, as we've proven, they will actually see and read, right? Because everybody reads their text messages. So either it could be something that's scheduled, you want to send people reminders about things, or it could be just something on the fly, like the example that I just gave, or God forbid, in a case of an emergency, text messaging is the kind of the channel that everyone will pay attention to. So regardless of whether or not you use a chatbot, you should be looking into using text messaging to, in a crisis communication situation. So BizBash used us for all 3 of their events last year, and they've actually just re-signed with us for the next 2 years to use us for all 3 of their events each year. And we have a great case study. I can share that with you guys after the event, tell you more about that. So essentially, event bots are the perfect team member. They say what you want, the way you want it said every time. As you guys know, humans don't do that. AI chatbots don't take breaks. They don't show up hungover. They don't ask to leave early. They can handle hundreds of concurrent interactions. Like literally hundreds of attendees could be asking them a question at the same time, right? And they can answer it. And they capture that clear written record of what your attendees really did ask for. What were their questions? So even if you're not paying attention to it on site, we can give that to you. You have access to that after your event. If you really want to see like, oh, a bunch of people asked about this, this specific thing during this time, you'll have that data to use, in the future. So that's it. I don't know if we have any time for questions. Nope, I'm done. Sorry. So you'll have to contact me with any questions you have. Thanks, guys.